Little naughty bit of feedback there at the end, Mr. Peter.
Almost there. I couldn't quite work out where the angle was. The angle of the dangle.
Well,
welcome.
Big news. Welcome
news.
to Andertons TV. Big news
Huge.
for people, not just in the UK, but in Europe too.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of about this, hasn't there?
Well, for many, many years, the very clever people at Mesa Boogie, headed up by Mr. Randall Smith, in
legend.
sunny California. They've been making amplifiers over there. The US domestic market, that's a grown-up term, isn't it? So essentially, if you live in America, when you go to a shop and you buy a Mesa Boogie amplifier, that shop have bought the amplifier direct from Mesa Boogie.
Yeah.
And
they've had their own shop as well, didn't they?
They have a very cool shop. Hello to all the people in the Boogie shop on Sunset. You're awesome. We very much enjoyed meeting you earlier this year. Anyway, however, if you live in anywhere else in the world, and obviously we're talking specifically here about Europe, Boogie would sell their amplifier to a middleman called a distributor. And that distributor would be responsible for looking after all the retailers in that country and doing all the servicing and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And then they would sell it to the shop and then you would buy it. So of course the price would be inflated compared to America, because as well as the shipping cost of getting over here, you've got this middleman now making a living out of it.
Yeah.
So as of today, I believe, if today is in fact the day that it happened, Boogie have now set up their own European distribution. So Andertons is now, much like an American dealer, dealing direct with Boogie. And to give you an idea of some of the price savings, I've just scribbled down some stuff on the floor. Pete's using a Fillmore, I've got a California Tweed. Yeah. Of course, all the classics are still, Dual Rectifiers, Mark 5s, all that kind of stuff.
25,
so to give you an idea, as of yesterday, and please tell me that you didn't buy one of these amplifiers yesterday, the list price of a Fillmore 50 combo in the UK was £2,300, including VAT. Today, I'm give or take, it is more like £1,700.
Woo! That's like almost 600 quid. That's 600 quid. Could be around 600 quid.
A dual rectifier has dropped from £3,100 down to £2,300. Again, give or take a little bit. These prices are just a teeny weeny bit ballpark at the moment.
Yeah.
Mark 5. Mark 5.
Mark 5.
We've written down Mark 4. What we meant was Mark 5.
It got the Mark
4. Unfortunately, they don't teach Roman numerals in schools these days anymore over here. So at Mark 5, they're all singing, all dancing, got everything, has dropped from, this is the combo, 3,700 down to 2,800.
That's £1,000.
And the
almost
California Tweed, which I've not plugged in before, I've admired it. I've admired it in the showroom many times. I think
Beautiful
it's a beautiful
thing,
looking amplifier.
yeah.
I've never plugged one in before, and boy, do I like it. This head, not including the cab, but the head is has dropped down from like 2250 to 1700-ish as well.
It's a good price.
So yeah, look, whether you're looking at some of the Boogie pedals, which obviously will be the most affordable kind of Boogie products, whether you're looking at some of the new variants of cab clone with the IR loader built into it, whether you're looking at cabs or heads, combos,
bass gear. They make some fantastic bass gear, which I think Mesa Boogie needs
Don't
much
they make
more.
an acoustic amp?
They did do an acoustic amp as well.
Don't know if that's still in the catalogue, but look,
it should be the Rosetta, I think it was called.
Links below will take you over to our Boogie section, and Andertons has repriced everything. So we've already decided if we've got something in stock already, we're quite happy. We'll take a bit of a loss on that, even though we bought it from the old place, just to kickstart things and get things going. But yes, supply is now coming through to Andertons direct from Boogie.
Yeah, it's great news.
The only thing the Boogie guy did say to me is that they're kind of making this announcement in July, but potentially stock is going to be a little thin on the ground until September, October time. So potentially what you're really, if you're going, oh, I want that amplifier now, there might be a little wait. But order away, put a deposit down something, and you'll be first in the queue.
Yeah, and you have to remember, Mesa Boogie being, one of the pioneers in hot rodding. Like that was how Randall Smith started hot rodding Fender amps back in California. The whole story about him hot rodding a little Fender Princeton amp because you couldn't get the Marshall type, the 12-inch and all that. So you couldn't get, Fender didn't make them back then, and they wanted this Marshall type thing. Carlos Santana walking into the shop and said, "Oh man, that thing really boogies," and it sort of became, the Mark One, and that was this. It became Boogie, and this whole story. But they make the stuff that they make. I've been to the factory, and I've seen them make their stuff, and it is just incredibly craftsmanship. It's really
very high quality
level stuff.
It's one of those brands. Actually, there's a lot of brands like this in music, but I think Mesa Boogie is one of the, more standout ones where you see so many artists using them. You see them on so many stages around the world. Your perception is they must be some massive company that make thousands of amplifiers. And it's a tiny,
yeah, it's not
almost like a custom shop.
Yeah,
in California.
Anything you want you can buy any Tolex you want. You can get Purple Crocodile if you want.
Yeah.
And even the speakers, the story goes that the speakers that they make, they get made in Ipswich in the UK, and then they get them shipped to.
These are the Celestian.
These are the Celestian
variants,
speakers, yeah, because they're doing other stuff with other. In this one over here, there's Jensen.
Blackbird? No, Alnico.
Yeah, Blackbird Alnico in there.
Blackbird Alnico.
But the when they had them made, there was a shipment come over and they test all the speakers in the cabs and the speakers before, they do the testing. And they're like, this doesn't sound right. And apparently Celestian had changed some glue on some stuff and they could hear the difference. And well, yeah, but I don't want to save that 20p or whatever. So can you just make them like we want them? So all of these speakers, Celestians come in here, are made especially for Boogie.
Well, look, we've never demoed either the Fillmore or the California Tweed. Neither of them are like hot off the press new, but they've both been out in the last year or two.
Yeah. None of them got cap clone built in. Either.
No, these two are really straightforward. So if you think of the Mark series, particularly Mark V, and older amps like Road King and stuff, it was very much just, it's for the tweaker, right? It's for the guitar player that wants to, really, really dial in. And I think sometimes those amplifiers become very. The customer becomes very polarized about those amps because some people will go, I love it. I love the fact I can, I can literally adjust. If I turn the bass control from like 5 to 6, it's a different sound, and then there are other guitar players that it's a total turn off.
They just want it to 12
and
o'clock,
they just want like an amp that sounds good without tweaking anything. Yeah. And that's kind of more where these are at. So look, Pete, tell me, what is the Fillmore kind of
the Fillmore is a
6
6L6 based amp. Kind of based on that classic Boogie tone, and it's got a Black Shadow speaker in it, so Celestian Black, a
single 112,
single
right?
112 in here, 50 watts. There's two channels that are completely identical, which probably for me, it was like, I don't really need two channels that are completely the same. I'd rather take one channel and have some gain in front of it. But the idea with that is that you can set up one channel to be your clean or your quite crunchy, and the other one to be the lead. Now, so the amp on the front here has got a 50 and a 20 watt mode, so you can run it a bit low output. You've got gain, middle, gain, treble, middle, bass, presence, reverb, which is a spring-driven tank reverb in here, master, and it's exactly the same on the other side. Then you've got a clean, drive, switch, and high. And that's sort of a clean, and then crunchy, and then high gain. And in the middle, you've got a channel select switch, which you can set to the middle, and then you can switch the channels back and forth with a foot switch, or you can literally go onto the red channel and blast that all the time. So
can we hear the three like the clean, drive, and high mode?
Yeah, so
no
this
pedals
is,
maybe.
So this is just no pedals at all. A little bit of reverb. As you can see, I've kind of tweaked the amp. So don't be scared of tweaking these amps. A lot of the times we say put it at 12 and it sounds good. That's how I set.
I always think the Mark series had a mid-range honk to it.
Yeah.
When you hear players like Carlos Santana and you hear that in a band mix, it completely works. But in isolation, they can sound a little bit honky. So I think that's probably why.
Yeah, that's why you can see I put loads of bass on it and take some treble off. But I'll demonstrate this by just doing a G chord here on the Les Paul. It's quite pokey. Woo. There's nothing on there. But if I were to put everything, let's go to the other channel because then we can compare it. Because that's the clever thing. So let's put everything to 12.
It's like a built-in demonstration A/B setting here, isn't it? I like it.
Yeah, so everything is 12 o'clock here. So these two channels are exactly the same. So here's the G chord.
You've got the presence all the way down, haven't you, on that second channel?
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry. Excuse me. Over to that channel. Oh, hang on. Sorry, that's on the drive channel because we experimented a bit earlier. Actually, it sounds great like that as well.
It's actually not your typical Boogie EQ, is it? Where, quite a substantial change hasn't actually changed the tone.
No.
That's much more reminiscent of an old like Fender or Marshall type EQ where it doesn't change gigantically as you tweak it.
Exactly. So, and you got 12AX7 in here and 6L6s. So, it's that standard kind of configuration of a vintage amp. Everything at 12 there. And the other side?
A little bit more character, I think, when you twist the EQ.
Yeah, you twist it. It just adds a little bit more.
I don't know why, because this must be coming up for 30 years ago. I think the first time I ever saw someone in a band gigging with a Boogie amplifier, I want to say they had a Mark IV.
Walter Trout was the guy I saw first.
I don't know if the Mark IV would have even been out in 25 odd years ago.
Could have been a 3?
No, I think it was a 4, but look, Boogie enthusiasts will go, it wasn't out then, so either my memory is that I saw it a bit later or maybe it was a Mark III. But anyway, I saw a guitar player playing in a band in a pub in a town called Windsor that, anyone from England will know what that is.
With a Queen.
And they were like I'm pretty sure it was like a covers kind of party band or whatever like that. And the guitar player had the biggest guitar sound I think I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
And I could not understand how this amplifier that was this big
this is literally that, wasn't it?
Physically create that much sound.
Yeah.
And then I do remember at the end of the gig going over and the guy going, try picking it up like that.
Oh, they're not.
And you're like, your arm would come out of its socket because you just weren't expecting it to be that heavy. I don't think that's quite.
It doesn't have. This doesn't have that.
It's not that vibe,
have that mark. When we did remember way back in the day when I used to do the Boogie demonstrations and we did the Carlos Santana, the Snake.
That was why Boogie used to be so expensive under the old distributor because they had to pay salaries like his out of it.
So let's just jump along off that cliff really quickly. So that's the clean channel. Where are we? Here we are. So then you've got a drive here in the middle. So So that's just the same settings, right? So you got your master and you got your gain, which is, I used to have the Roadster, which is the Road King, but without all of the bling. And say, so it's got, it doesn't have all the different tubes in there, and but it has got 4 channels.
Yeah.
And I used to play the Tom Jones kick with that, and everyone was going, "What are you using a metal?" I almost swore then, because the clean tones are loud and huge.
Honestly, Dual Rectifier, the best and worst thing Boogie ever did to that was put the kick plate on the front of it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they put the kick plate on the front of it and metallic, it was like, that's it, that's the amp that I need. But of course, everyone then forgot what an incredible clean sound it had, and you could never use that amp for like a country or a blues gig because it had the kick plate on. But
I had the kick plate taken off mine.
Really?
I had it off, so I just had a completely black Tolex, and it looked great.
Yeah.
And I think the what they do so well is when they use the silicon or the triodiode, all that different stuff. It's so snappy. It's just like the attack of them is so incredible. So for funk, for instance, people that play funk with a Dual Rectifier, it's like because it's so snappy. Anyway, let's turn the master. Let's go to the other side and then turn. No.
Yeah. What does the drive thing sound like with everything at 12?
Yeah. So here's the. Oh yeah. What does the sound like with everything at 12? So here's just to reminisce. That's that side.
Quite martially, actually, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. And then this is with everything at 12. More mid-range.
I was going to say, it's like, unsurprisingly, it's got more mid and less bass. Yeah. That's exactly what you've done to the controls. Wow, these reviews are so helpful.
And the reverb in here is the spring tank that sits in the back, which is also driven by tubes. I think that sounds great. These Black Shadow speakers are really good with gain.
I'm sitting on the other side of this Perspex screen here, but that to me feels like a band gigging combo. It's in a band where you may be in a busy band that's got it
needs to be loud.
Yeah, you want some volume. You've got keys, you've got bass, so there's absolutely no point you having a guitar amp that does all of that end of the spectrum.
You don't need all of this.
You don't want that. You just want a rock and roll band. It's a good amp.
Yeah, and so let's go to high drive. So, and to be fair, it's only set to about 9.5.
Yeah.
Or like there. So with everything at 12. Yeah,
plenty of zing.
It sounds great. So if you go onto this channel now, and we will go see how much gain are actually in it.
Let's see if we can sort of Carlos Santana it a bit. So a bit more gain and let that mid range kind of sing through. And
okay, so let's just see. What is the?
I think you could go a bit louder with that. A little bit louder. It feels like it wants to. Put it on its 20 watt mode. Is that just an easy switch? Just to sort of, is it 20 or 25?
25.
Yeah, it's a hard one. it's still. I said I still think I'd want to. I think you've got to be the guitar player that's either in a band or recording in a mix. It doesn't feel to me necessarily the kind of amp that I might want to just have at home. I know it's expensive amp to buy at home, but it doesn't feel like the sort of amp that if you're just playing on your own, it feels like it's not quite got the bottom end for me.
No, and I have to be honest. You plug it in first time, and it's not underwhelming, but it's like, oh, you have to tweak it. But when you then get that out of it, you go, okay, I get it now. Because it's such a different amp from what you've got, for instance. It's not a forgiving amp, but Boogie's it's not renowned for being forgiving amps, like a Lone Star, 150 watt Lone Star. As soon as you hit it, it's like all your mistakes will just come out all over the place. It's just unforgiving.
I think we've said this a lot, in the sense of, amps, I think it's impossible to have an amplifier of this, valve, using this size of speaker. It's impossible to really have an amp that can be good loud and be good quiet. It's either you're either tuning the cab and the speaker and the amp to perform at a certain volume or you're not. But
there's more videos coming out like that as well, by the way.
Yeah, I think that came to life. That came to life.
But that's big time. Yeah, big time. So let's just see really quick before we move on. Let's go to 50 watts again. No.
It's not very John Mayer sounding.
No, it's not. Okay, so just to see what it sounds like with a Dane into that. That's pretty 80s, that wasn't it? It's like proper Californian.
I mean, in my head, I'm hearing the bass line playing along with you there, and I'm just going, that's a perfect little rock and roll combo.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, they can be louder. It's not super duper heavy. It's not Mesa Boogie. It's not Mark V. When you go and your arm just pops out. It's not that. You always need two to carry. I mean, my Lone Star, when I had that, my Lone Star in a flight case on the 5th floor. Forget about it.
Literally, Pete's rider was that you'd need an elephant to take the amp in its cabinet.
I had a Lone Star in a flight case. I had a 4x12 cab in a flight case and the Roadster head in a flight case. It's like, good thing I didn't have to do that.
With your Tom Jones access all areas pass on, just pick up the amplifier.
I didn't say anything. I just turned on stage.
Anyway, look.
It sounds great.
California Tweed. Love this look, obviously, with the dark brown leather handle and corners and the blonde sort of look and the white plate on it. California Tweed is kind of what you'd expect it to be. Very much about being a big, old, bass heavy, clean sounding
Fendery 6v6 amps, 6v6 tubes in that.
50 watts, but with the multi-watt mode. So we've now 40 watts, but we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different settings going from 2 watts up to 40 watts, and I'll demonstrate that in a minute. 2 inputs, a high and a low input, so very traditional, and 1 channel with reverb. So I'm just using this with no pedals at the moment, and I've got it on its 30 watt mode, but for playing on my own, I'm playing that all day long.
Yeah, every day.
Perfectly
all
happy,
day, every day.
Loving it. Don't need any pedals to get that kind of sound. The reverb is a classic spring reverb, so.
Oh, it sounds so
I don't know what to change really. I've tweaked it a teeny weeny bit. I mean, if I put everything back on 12 o'clock, I bet it still sounds fine, No, I think it's, it does enough. It's worth tweaking a little bit just to kind of get a sound perfect. I haven't, do you know what I haven't tried at all yet is what the internal gain is like. But, I chucked on a light speed, a Dane, all sorts. All my favourite pedals were just sounding,
It's so good, isn't it?
What's wrong with that? That's the light speed. Dane.
Yeah.
It's just funnily enough, the Dane I like because it adds a little bit of bass end in. Actually, on this amplifier, it just doesn't need it. It doesn't need the bass end added in.
There's also an open back cabinet that it seems like.
So 112
in there.
So there is a 112 combo version of this, and you can obviously get different cabinets as well to go with this if you want. Well. I bet that's huge. Let's run through the multi-watt stuff. So here's its loudest. Oh my life! There's that. That's just headroom for days.
Yeah. Wow.
Too much, isn't it? But crazy. 30 watts we've been on already.
I mean, that's good for home. You've got all of those.
Exactly. 20.
That's you. Yeah.
Funnily enough, I almost feel like I want to start to roll the bass end down when I go lower power because it's the bass end that's causing the amp to kind of not choke. What's the right word? A little bit of that break up and compression that I almost don't want.
Yeah.
But let's have a 2 watts now. 2 watts. Let's just take that bass end down. Bass end. Still loud. I mean, it's not like loud, but it's too.
But then, Then you can use the master, can't you? So.
Is that home? I mean,
Well, you turn the master down.
I know it's like 2,000 quid for a. It's very usable at home.
Yeah. And if you then bang up the volume.
The multi-watt or the master volume?
There's a gain. The gain.
Oh, you mean let's see what it can do.
Just get the gain on. Yeah,
okay,
they call
so
it
I'm
gain.
Take the gain round to sort of like 3 o'clock. Leave it in its 2 watt mode for the minute. Back pickup, no pedals. It's not as spiky and farty as maybe a Fender, like an old Fender would be. It's got a little bit.
I like that. I
think I want it to just be a little bit more open. That's the only problem with a 2 watt mode, I think, is it's like very compressed.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff. I can hear a lot of the back of the cab.
Oh! It's a good.
Oh, the guitars are ringing with us.
You're kidding me.
No, that's the guitars. Never happened. Well, it was just that note bar. Let's play it again. That's the acoustic guitar.
That's
in the room.
never happened in here. We've got an acoustic guitar hanging up in the corner somewhere there, and literally, that's the exact resonant frequency to get. That's weird. That's freaked me out. Wow, that's obviously moving some air.
Yeah, man.
The kind of nice thing about this is nothing else to really tell you.
It just sounds.
I mean, I was trying to decide. I've got into this new Walrus. Well, it's not new, but the Walrus Fathom reverb, and I kind of sometimes can't decide whether I actually like pedal reverb more than.
Turn the Fathom off. And then bosh up the reverb, just further up.
Further?
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
I mean, that's I wouldn't use it like
yeah,
that.
Yeah, but look. Here, if you go like 3/4 or almost half, well. You know when you turn it up on a Fender amp, how it just completely flushes everything out. This doesn't.
Versus. Hang on, let's just pop this back. It's cleaner, isn't it? The pedal
Is it different?
Or of course the mighty Walrus Slow, which is even more epic. I love it.
Well, you can play that. It's one of those things. You can play that for just keep playing, right?
I've always been a fan of. I say always. My amp journey, and certainly the last probably 5 to 10 years, has been. Please, I just have one amp with one channel that's just really cool and sounds clean. It's got loads of bass end on it and a bit of headroom.
Yeah.
And I'm drawn towards that, and I'll use a pedal to get distortion, and then every so often I'll hear a guitar player just using an amp for distortion.
Yeah.
And I will go, actually, okay, that's blooming awesome as well.
Yeah. When they're good, they're good, aren't they?
Yeah. But so maybe it's still. Maybe there's still that kind of Nirvana thing of just going, the ultimate rig is still an amp for clean, an amp for distortion, and an AB box between the two.
Yeah.
If you can afford it and you can justify it. But look, so there you go. California Tweed, Fillmore, whole boogie range, crazy new pricing. So maybe you've seen a boogie video in the last, 10 years and you've just thought, I'd love that amplifier, and you looked at the price and you just went, oh, hello.
Maybe you've seen something else in the past as well.
So yeah.
Maybe you've caught a few Andertons ones in the past.
What's that? Oh, you've seen, you might have seen us on a video before. You never know, but there you are. I think this is interesting now because it kind of, it's always, I wouldn't say resent is the wrong word, but I've always felt it was a bit unfair that there was such a difference between boogie pricing in the States
and you're not the only one, man. You're not the only one.
And I'm quite glad they've addressed it now. Yeah. And I appreciate that the old distributor, I know I'm 1,000,000% not laying the blame at the old distributor. Everybody's got to make a living. They were doing a job.
Yeah.
They have to get paid for that.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's kind of cool now, and yes, I think it'll make us look at new boogie releases now, and instead of going, oh, blimey, okay, it's good amp, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
I think we'll be looking at it going, okay, this stacks up now.
Yeah, it stacks up. And I think we need to do a couple of shootout now. You can bring them in and do a shootout like that, and the V140 there. I know it's a 100-watt amp, but they are now similar price. So you go, oh, okay, well, all of a sudden, what am I?
Not just that. I mean, if you look at, what have you got? I'm half tempted to revisit what a blooming Dual Rec is. I tell you, the other one that looked cool now is the Mini Rec.
Yeah, the Mini Rec.
Which is a very, very usable amplifier. It's almost one of those original little lunchbox amplifiers.
It is.
It's 25 watts, I think, isn't it? It's the rectifier kind of circuit. That's channels. Now about 1,200 or 1,300 pounds for a head. So it's still, a premium price product, but not but not. It's not like $2,000 or 2,500 quid or whatever, and you're just going, whoa, that's silly.
I used that for distorted tones on that Helena Fischer Stadium tour with that little 2x12 cap out the back. There you go. That's it. Yeah, and everybody remembers the guitar solos from the Helena Fischer tour. And everybody remembers what the guitar player, what he was playing, what amp he was using. Because they all went out and looked under the stage. Absolutely. There we go. There we go. Right, happy days, everybody. Yeah. That's video over. Hope you're having a good day. And yes, please, again. What guitar was you playing, Lee?
Oh, this is a G&L ASAT special. It's my favourite G&L
It's
guitar.
such a good guitar.
This is just the stock, completely normal American one, so we haven't gone crazy priced on this. And they do tribute versions as well. If this is a bit too rich for you, but this is about, I want to say 1,100 quid.
Yeah, something like that, I think.
And then there's a tribute one, like a Far Eastern made tribute one for about 400.
With the same hardware, the same pickups,
something like that. Yeah.
So
really, 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 if you want like a Telecaster style vibe, but just a bit juiced up.
yeah.
Check one out. Very cool. And what guitar are you
This is a
playing,
Les Paul
Pete?
custom shop.
I've never seen one of those before in my life.
No.
Is that new?
Yeah. We'll talk about that very soon.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, bye.